Let's do it. Let's get into some fire stuff, man. We've been kind of hitting this COVID and running calls and everything going on. Well, let's get into some. How about like training or maybe some captain stuff, dude? What do you think about some on scenes or something, man?
Fire dog stuff.
Little fire dog. Let's do it, dude. Let's get a little
fire
nasty,
dog
dude.
up, Bob.
Easy
Blaze
fire,
it up.
guys, damn it.
Yeah.
So,
Here he is.
I think just altogether, the big mindset with training that I always try to keep for the fire department is we have to keep things basic. We have to build from there, and we have to build confidence. So, I always tell everybody 50% of anything we do, being an EMT, being a medic, being a firefighter, engineer, captain, chief, 50% of that's confidence. The other 50 is this actual skill you have at that position. So we've all seen guys who are very skilled, but their lack of confidence just beats them up and brings them down. And we've seen vice versa, where guys are very confident in themselves, but their skills didn't match it, right? So it's definitely a balance of what you have to do. And what I found was the more people know, the more confidence they build. And the more you can explain to them and have them succeed at it, the better they end up being at the end. So the whole stump the monkey training, that's never worked for any of us. We all had it. We've all had it done to us, and it didn't work, right? It just made me pissed off at that person who was doing it to me.
It makes
and
me
embarrassed.
madder now. Like,
Yeah.
The more you, like, nowadays when you experience it, it's like twice as mad.
Yeah.
You still using that?
Yeah. So some people use that, and it can be used as a kind of hinder you down to keep you where you're at. And it doesn't make people succeed. So I've always tried to put people in a position where how can I set this up to teach him in a comfortable environment and build his confidence and help him succeed at it? Because when you succeed, now you put in your head, okay, I can do this. This is easy. I can do this. So that's been my mindset with everything with training, and I just kind of taken that as far as not just my crew, with everybody around me, is let me teach them these things because everybody wants to learn. There's nobody here that's not hungry to learn these things. It's just sometimes there's people you don't want to ask. So if you give guys this avenue and you make them successful at it, I've found that usually they learn it better.
So your mindset's kind of like you're kind of training your replacement in a weird way. You want everybody to know your job so they can make it better. Bring in their kind of ideas, like, hey, this is how I run my stuff. Keep it simple, keep it basic, and then also, and you can kind of feel that while you're teaching that, you learn new things, like new ideas. I love when people come to the table like, hey, have you ever thought about this? And you're like, nah, man, I did not think about that.
Yeah, and that's the other part of it too, is being open to learn also, which is.
And then that's the key, because with the stump the monkey thing, I've always see it's those people who don't train the replacements or aren't trying to train people to make them better than that person. They always want to be the alpha dog, the smartest guy, so they hide stuff versus give everything away. So it's that 50% confidence, but they have 25% being scared of someone's going to be better than them. And that's like with your program, is that's not there. You're going to tell me everything that you know, and then you're going to be cool if Zach launches an idea. I'm like, dude, that's a great idea.
Yep.
But not every person does that, and that's how training gets all sideways.
Yeah. You have to go into it humble as well. And the thing I think that helps me a lot is I'm very comfortable with what I'm not good at. And I work to get better at them. I know there's things I'm comfortable enough with myself to admit I'm not good at everything and I don't know everything. So teach me too. And what I found is people respond better to that because now they feel like they're contributing. It's not I'm always just listening to him and getting something from him. He cares what I think too, and he wants me to help make him better. So that is a huge part of it, because I've seen that with stump them. So they always think that I know all the answers. No, I want them to know everything I know, because that's how I get better, is because it's harder for me to fail when everybody else is at the level of things that I know to do, and I can keep us all growing together. The better we all are, the better we're going to all be in the end. I don't want to be the one that has all the answers. I want you to have all the answers too, so that when I forget something, you're there to pick up the slack and help.
Yeah,
So,
it chaps my ass too, like just like how you said when you keep seeing it, because it happened to me a lot my first year. Like, these young Thundercats come out with the latest and greatest stuff from the academies, and there's captains, engineers, senior guys who just try to stump them and beat them down. Like, nah, this is what we did when I went to the academy 20 years ago, you should just be asking those guys, hey man, tell me what you learned.
Yeah.
So now they're better at it, you're better at it, you got the new training, because you're not going through these trainings that they're going through now. You know,
No,
you went
100%.
slicers and all that. That's new and already phased out. Like, you know, it's like when you buy a laptop, you get it home, it's obsolete. So, you know, we should be picking their brain.
Yeah. And we focus a lot on where you're at. You need to be good at it's always the saying, you need to be a really good fireman before you're a good engineer. You need to be a really good engineer before you go to captain. You need to be a really good EMT before you go to medic. Some of that is true. You need to be competent. But a lot of it is people will keep getting better if you allow them to get better. And the hungry people are going to take whatever circumstance they have and get good at it. So I didn't have a lot of experience as a fireman before I promoted to engineer. I didn't have a lot at all. I didn't have a ton of fires under my belt before I became a captain. Most of my fires in the fire department have been as a captain, not even the guy on the nozzle. So what I try to do with everybody is teach every position everybody's job. I know how to pull hose. I do it for them, and I let them be the captain. We'll go do an evolution, and I'll let the booter be the captain, and I'm pulling a line so he knows all the things that I have to do to help him, and to do it so now he knows when he's waiting for me everything I'm doing, and how he can help me get it better. Our booter can pump the truck. He can lay line. He can pump lines. He can do all that. He understands hydraulics. He understands how the truck works, so he knows how to help the engineer, and vice versa. I do too. I know how to pull lines. I know how to pump the truck. We're all aware of each other's jobs, so it makes us all better together, So I think that's really big for the thing that we really lack on is we focus on you're an EMT firefighter, and that's all you need to get good at that. And it's the way he can get better at that is to learn more and learn everything. You can be a better EMT if you understand why I'm doing things as a paramedic. And that's going to make him better. And same thing, I could be a better chief someday if I understand his job and if he teaches me his job and shares that knowledge. And you put him in like we have a guy right now, Jason, that's going through his move up captain. And it's a very stressful position. You've
100%.
done it.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's a hard position to get put in, and you don't realize how much stuff goes on in that front seat until you're there, right? So there's a lot of things that go into it, a lot of stuff that has to get thought of. And what I found was when I got put in that spot, it was all right, go, and it was like your dad kicking you in the deep end of the pool, and you had to figure it out and floundering and making a lot of mistakes. I never liked that environment. I try not to do that. I think you can definitely always learn from your mistakes, but set people up to be successful, and they're going to get better at it. They're going to perform better. So, we do little things like practicing in the bay, how to turn out, how to respond, how to map, how to get there, and what things we're looking at now once we're there, how to react to it. So
let's run that. So like money, it's like, hey man, I want to be a move up captain. Like, well, let's start a day. Like, let's just I'm coming in on money, and I'm like, hey man, I just opened my book. Like, let's go through a process. Like, what would be kind of your teaching style, man?
yeah.
Oh,
So,
we don't have to go what would be. What was it?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
For sure,
Like
for
this
sure.
happened.
Yeah.
Just to kind of give an example, because
Well, and my big thing was I told him, I said, I know you want to be a move-up captain right now, but you're not going to sit up front. We're going to learn. We're going to get your confidence. We're going to get muscle memory built, and then we're going to get in there. So we come up with a plan of how are you going to – what things do you need to learn to be successful at this position? And not only that, a good captain is a good teacher as well. And like we talked about before, you're not going to really know how to do it until you can teach it to somebody. So we went through his book. We looked at certain things that he's going to do, pre-planted buildings, smoke reading, using the MCT. And every shift, he's going to teach the crew how to do that and how to read smoke and how to use the MCT. And he's currently typing up a whole thing for all four of us on these are basic MCT functions that you can use.
love that.
So, it just puts him in that mindset and builds his confidence of, okay, I'm learning this. And he's going to know it better rather than me showing him one time and saying, okay, now go do it. So we come up with a plan once we fill, and every day we do practice fires. We pull up a video. He does on-scene reports. All these guys jump in on on-scene reports. They do ghost trucks for him. And we all talk about what we would all be doing, what everybody's job is on this so that we can all kind of grow from it. And then as we go along and we start seeing that confidence and practice, slow, controlled environment practice, then we start putting him in there. And now we start getting him in there because now he's set up more for success, and he feels more prepared. Because you can see the stress in him, right? As soon as he got it, the anxiety
Yeah.
kind of kick in, and it's a very anxious thing. But if you set it up right for people, you'll make them. It's no different than a probationary guy. They come in super anxious and super nervous, and they just want to do well and want to perform. See, Hank gets it.
Yeah.
And so I just try to put him in that environment. So that's kind of our plan of how we do that. And it was no different than John when John was trying to test for engineer. We started, okay, you got your book, spot on a hydrant. That's it. Let's just go drive around and spot 20 hydrants. That's all you're going to do. And then we went to now get your own supply line, practice that. Now get a supply line. The next set, every set was add on to it. Get your supply line, now pump a line. And then now once you've done that enough times, now we're going to do a full evolution. You're going to lay in, you're going to pump, you're going to do all the stuff that you need to do. And then by the end of it, it got all the way to where he ran a Mayday at the end of it. So we just keep adding on to it. And every time, if I saw, okay, this is too much, I tapered it back. If I saw, okay, he's doing good, now I give him a little bit more. I give him a little more and I build him up. So.
And it's such a good program, man, because when you were helping Colin and Laura when I was a booter, and then you would have me do all that stuff, pump and do all that, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but it all made sense. Like a year and a half later when I opened up my book, it was like, oh, that's what they were doing. And it's something that, it gets preached to the new guys. You should know the job behind you and the job in front of you, which is great. But I think us as a department and probably in a fire service, we don't do enough to, like, just doing the captain stuff with money. That's already making me a better engineer of knowing what goes on in that seat. And it's crazy that it's not knowledge that's just out there. You got to get lucky that you're with a captain or an engineer that's going to share that stuff with a new guy. And it, like Nick's getting all the benefits, man. I don't think there's ever been a booter that has the training that he's had. And dude, he's going to just.
That's why I told him.
Dude.
I said, dude, you're more prepared than most of our captains right now to be a captain, and it's just his knowledge of how he can assign units and what fire is doing and fire behavior, how to attack things. I mean, that's way beyond. And I told him, I said, you are way beyond where I was at your point. You at less than a year are where I was when I got promoted to captain, and that's what I told him. I said, but that's cool to me. I don't want you to be like I was. I want you to be better. I want you to teach the next group and just keep making it better and bring the level of expectations and performance up. And that's a big thing, is having that environment, because I'm sure we've all been to the trainings, and what usually happens when we go do training, everybody gets so beat down from their booter year and training and being exposed. We go do a multi-company drill with Westside Training. What happens? Nobody wants to do anything. You notice that? There's no volunteers. Nobody wants to go first. Nobody wants to do these things, and that's where I'll really push my crew to kind of, hey, let's step up. Let's go first. Let's take the first anxiety one off their shoulders, because I know I wouldn't put them in that situation if they wouldn't be successful, because we've prepared them so much for that. They've done so many practices, so many stressful times that now they're ready to go. But as a whole in our culture, we really kind of beat down people, and we make people nervous to do anything. I mean, you guys notice that?
I mean, that's how I gauge people who put trainings on, is if you ask a question, if people answer back, because there's, they're afraid to say something stupid. But if you have that environment where, hey man, we're all probably thinking this, just say it. And if people say it, and you're like, oh, cool. So that means everyone's walls are down, and you're getting that honesty and that good opinion and that vulnerability. But if not, then if you ask a question, it's just crickets, and you probably need to change your program up a little bit.
Yeah.
I think my side of it, dude, is, my teachers would say growing up, like, I used a pleasure to work with. Man, his work is satisfactory. It's like middle, and like, dude, my high school transcript had 14 Fs, man. I was real social, but I just didn't have a lot of drive. Like,
14 Fs? How'd you?
I don't know, bro.
How'd you skate by?
Your boy was in night school 4 nights a week. I made it. Just to be clear, I made it. All right, so don't take that as an excuse to not make it.
You got
like,
that Corona pass?
I was just like, so many different reasons, but like, I had some stuff happen in my life that inspired me, that made me grind, and I was in, I had 8 classes in normal high school a semester, plus 4 nights of night school, dude. But I made it,
Hey.
So I know that I'm capable of it, But to this day, I'm 35 to the day. I'm
Till this
35,
day.
and I still find myself having to. I have the insecurities of being this dude that isn't smart enough to be book smart, you know. So when it comes to like, this is what fuels me is I get inspired when I listen to conversations like this, or I get inspired when like I start believing in myself when I just hear practical stuff that people do, and it comes down to leadership. It comes down to like it's, you know, that's awesome, dude. Like I am very jealous that I'm not in like Nick's position, like, or I'm very jealous that I've missed out on opportunities to be on your crews, or even just with guys that are like that want to, you know, that like it's a trip, dude. It's a trip. That's what's so cool about being in this space and being able to like kind of to hear that and see how it's playing out. Because at the same time, I've seen it like in guys like Nick, or I've seen it in guys that you've worked with, or the impact that it makes in people, or seeing like whether it's hearing that you're meeting with Christian and Shay, or like the guys off shift or whatever. It's like, dude, like that's how you get better, you know? And so I mean, it's awesome, dude. But at the same time, I acknowledge that you like someone might be watching and you're gonna go back to your shift, and you hear a method that is really working for us, and it may be hard for you to find buy-in, right? Or obviously the culture is really set up because of your leadership and all the guys in your crew. It works great, but that doesn't mean that if you're in that situation that you know, like, we're all grown-ups, so maybe it's working on your communication of how to build inspiration within kind of those passive leadership, or how you can, one person, change the culture within your crew dynamic or within your department or whatever it is, man. Like, it's possible.
100%. There's a big thing to mentality too. Like, I watch you, how you teach, man, is that I like, if I'm teaching something, I like to see how their mind breaks down stuff. A mechanic background, a sports background, or like what they're really engaged with. Is it an organization thing? Is it a hands-on? Is it a visual? I watch you tie those pieces together, man, and that's an art itself, dude, when you come to teaching, man.
Yeah.
How do you look at stuff like that?
Well, I just really looked at, I've always felt like I've been good at breaking things down, just my whole life, just with stuff, even with sports. If I had a teammate, I'd go, no, let's look at it this way. And I just noticed that everybody learns different, and everybody needs a little bit of different adjustment. And what I found, you know, my aspiration is to be a good leader. And what I found was, if you want to be a good leader, you got to be able to lead anybody and different people. So I had to adapt to, this is how this person learns. And I got very lucky that right when I got hired, I got picked up as a tech for the college academy. So as a brand new fireman, I was getting to pump the truck and teach guys how to pull hose. And I was in that almost mini RTO role as a newer guy.
Nice.
And right after medic school, I got picked up as an instructor. So I wasn't a great medic when I got my patch, but teaching there made me so much better, and learning how to teach people and learning how to break things down. And what I found was, it's an old saying, but if you can't teach it at the basic level, you don't know it. So I know I've seen a lot of people try to teach things, and they're teaching it at this super high gee whiz mode, and it's not sinking into people. So you have to be able to teach it at the most basic level and build off of that. If people don't know, because when we're scared, if I teach you guys these things, when we're scared, when we're in a bad call, when we got something going on, we're all going to revert back to the most basic thing we know, right? And that's what happens, is if you're not teaching them and making sure they're good at the basics, they're going to revert back to panic. So if we all feel prepared, even when bad things happen, you're always going to go, okay, no, I got it. I know what to do. We've got to do these things again. Let's do these things and we're okay, you know? So that's just kind of how I learned to teach to different people and different styles, and change my style to know that not everybody's going to learn the way you learn. So learn their system, what works for them. I'm a systems guy. I'm a bullet point guy.
Yeah.
I'm a theory guy. I'm a let me see it and I can do it guy. If you find that and you just keep adjusting the way and you make them feel comfortable, I think one of the big things that's really helped me out was I made people comfortable to fail in front of me, because there was no repercussions. There was no embarrassment. There was no making you feel dumb. It was okay to fail because we're here and I'm going to help you be successful now. And I noticed that was where the big even with you,
Oh,
your
100%. I'm a
first year,
product. We're gonna get into that. I love it, dude.
where I showed you, I could just see extreme nervousness on your face when I was doing stuff with you, and I went, you know what, I'm gonna show him this stuff because he's gonna get it. And I remember you were still messing things up, all out of nerves,
You have
all
the
out of
psycho
nerves.
smile on.
Yeah,
Oh, dude,
you
my
just-
voice is loud.
yeah, and I went, no, it's okay. And he's, I'm sorry, man, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, it's fine. Let's look at it this way. Do this. This is what we use. And then you could just see him like he didn't trust it at first, and I think most people don't, where they look at me and they're like, is he messing with me? Is he gonna go tell everybody how bad I just did? And it was, you build that trust with them, man, and you bring them in and you show them that genuine. I'm doing this for you to be successful, not for you to fail. So I think that's really helped a lot.
100%, man. I'm such a product of that environment because once you show me you've just medic stuff going over like, hey man, start an IV like this. Think about this. How you're gonna approach the patient, get into their level. There's these little things. Even you're talking about with money, like the MCT, how you're gonna set up your PPE, what you're gonna touch in, like having a habit of like, all right, responding, hit the channel, talk to your guys, like those little things, dude. I still do till this day, man.
Mm-hmm.
Very detailed, and you gave me a confidence that's my normal now. I revert back to that, and it's at such a high level, dude. It's crazy. Like I know not just swim, stab, and grab. Like my level is 3 steps ahead of that because you ingrained it in me. Every day I come in, I'd pick up the drug, I look at it, I say all my dosages, pediatric, adult, I put it back. It's almost like polishing bottles when I bartending, man. I look at it and I know where every bottle is, every drug is, how I'm drawing it up. Like the system, dude, it's just ingrained in me. And that's my normal level.
And a lot of it's just been trial and error. I just try things, and if I feel like, man, that didn't work well for people, then I just get rid of it. And that's the other part of that leadership and training is you got to be able to know when you're not good at you're not doing this right, and readjust and change some things, man, and let people know. I tell them sometimes, I'm like, okay, I think that was too much, right? I've done it to them, I'm like, okay, we're going to do this, and this, and I can see lost in their face, and I go, okay, shit, that was too much. Let's just look at it this way then. Let's do these things, and you can see that, oh, okay, yeah, I got it. And then that's when you build off of it. But and it's even going back to multi-company and fire service culture is we're so used to we got to be the best, right? And nothing I've ever done is to be the best. I don't care to have that title. I just want to be good. And I want people to feel like, no, he knows what he's doing. I want to learn from him. I want to be like that. If something happens to my family, I want him there. That's what it was all about, man. That means more to me than a title or a plaque that they can give me. And you have to be comfortable with that of you're not going to always be the best, but you can strive for high things. And I've done multi-company training, and the thing in the fire service I always see is, one, everybody's scared to do anything. And two, especially when we're in gear, where now you're going to expose possible how good a shape I'm in, what kind of fatigue I'll go through. Is this going to be hard? Because, again, when people get fatigued and exerted and nervous, their real character starts coming out, and they're scared for that to be exposed. So we did one where I had to do nozzle forward training for a whole department, and I had to have guys in gear everybody pulled lines, everybody did all the steps, everybody was involved, and that was all part of my opening line. Was a lot of times we'll see, oh well, no, we'll let the booter do it so he can get extra reps, or we'll let this guy do it, or no, I've seen it, I'm good. And my rule when everybody came out was everybody's in their gear, everybody's gonna do every skill, and we're gonna talk about it. And I could just see it was funny. We would talk out there, and McDonald was out there for one of them, and he went, man, I can't believe how grouchy and nervous everybody is when they first come out compared to how they leave. Everybody showed up and was like immediate guard up. Nobody's talking. I'm getting one-word answers from everybody, and it was funny because it would make me nervous at first of like, man, they're not going to want to do this. And as we went, everything was set up that way. We set them up to succeed. We let them fail. If they failed, we corrected it. We didn't make them look dumb. We corrected and fixed it so that they could succeed before they left. So everybody did every skill. Every captain, every engineer pulled line just like a firefighter, and everybody learned every part of it. And we set it up to where they were pulling lines, humping hose as a team, getting to everything with very little effort, very little exertion, and they were succeeding. And even when they would do good, then they pushed harder, and they would get themselves to that exertion point, and because they were feeling so confident that they were ready to go hard, and by the end of it, everybody's sweaty, everybody's shirts are soaked, everybody's thirsty, and everybody was thanking us and happy that it went the way it did, and felt like they genuinely learned a lot, you know. And it was just, I think, the environment of letting them know, being humble, being, you know, approachable and flexible to learn that, okay, this doesn't make sense to him or her, so I need to do these things and I got to figure out the way to make them successful so that they don't leave here with lower confidence than they came in with, you know.
Two things, man, that are really important. I think you do really well as well. It's like, number one is, I think follow up too. Like if I run after my paramedic stuff, I could call you, man. Once I got out on my own, I'd be like, hey, Hugo, I ran this call, like that reinsurance or that confidence. Like, no, you did this, but think about this, man. And then we would call each other on calls. Like, dude, how do you think about this? What do you think about this? I think that was important. And then also when you teach people, man, you really empower them. Like, hey, you keep teaching. And also out of respect to you, if I come to one of your multi-companies, I'll step up right away. Doesn't matter if it's nozzle forward, whatever it is, I'll put my gear on and be an example because that's how we train our new guys, man. So now at your trainings, you're like, no, dude, we'll go first because of that energy and all that time you put in to lay the foundation that we all want to help each other now. I think that's important in that teaching piece too, man. Those are two things I really love now. I try to keep going.
Yeah.
That's cool.
For sure. Well, that's good, dude. That was a little bit of fire stuff, man. We're just getting into like the basics of teaching. I really wanted to get into some on-scenes down the road, some nozzle stuff, read and smoke. I think we have a lot of opportunity, man, to just keep building from here, dude. But that was cool.
The ending it, man, with the big clincher at the end of that whole circle is getting them to teach it back. And now John teaches, he's the senior firefighter, but he teaches our booters how to be an engineer. Our engineer teaches John how to be an engineer. And I'm teaching him how to be the captain, and we all go through it. So getting to that point where you know it well enough to teach it back to everybody, that's where the final seal, when you see that the skill is in them now, and it's there. So definitely take that and use it because it works. That system has worked with every kind of learner. I've had every kind of person, every personality in the department do this and be with me and all come out successful and respectful of it, you know, so.
And that's super humbling. You could just jump to the back and let your guys move up and start taking those roles, man. That's a true leader kind of showing like, hey, no, you're running it now.
Yeah.
It's on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but creating that environment where they're comfortable to do it, man, that's one of the biggest things.
Yep.
Cool. All right, man, we'll wrap it up here, dude. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Check into our YouTube and definitely support us on YouTube if you could. And even our Instagram and Facebook, man. Like us, let us know, man. Or if you have questions, send in some email stuff.
Yeah, or put it on the comments too. If there's leadership training or anything, stuff that you guys want us to talk about, we can go over it and you can get another person's point of view on it.
Oh, let's do it. The more the merrier. The bigger we can make this community, man. And if you have some good leadership stuff out there or know a training coming up, send it to us, man. We'll share it because we want the more we can get involved in the valley or outside of the valley, even in the state, man, and other states. Let's create a community where we can all get better and grow.